remember one of her boyfriends meeting me. He was like, "Oh, Donna told me you were crazy." She was like, he was like, "Oh, Donna told me you were crazy," and I was picturing this big fat mean lady. That's what he said. But it was because I was so nice,
Mhm.
and then when you took me there, it's like, oh, now you need to meet the other me,
Yeah.
because I would call that other me Ray Ray. Like
I
I'm telling you, I can't. I have a brother who's in jail right now for double murder, and I can't judge him because I can totally see me doing that. Like it had got so bad that I was able to see me killing somebody, and that's literally when I needed Jesus. When I got to the point I was suicidal and homicidal, and I was like, Jesus, I need you. It's in my blood, like, or was before I got washed with the blood of Jesus, but it is in my bloodline, or was. So I I know I have to be careful with that. And it comes from me being that little girl who was taken advantage of, and because I was nice. And so there's a scripture that says God is close to the brokenhearted. And
Mhm.
he saves the contrite at heart, or he saves the broken in spirit. And so I also believe that in that same scenario that there are evil spirits who are also, there near to the brokenhearted, saying, I can protect you. And they're
Mhm.
talking louder than the Holy Spirit many times. And so then we adopt them even as kids, like, yeah, I need some protection. And it's really a demon, trying to. Shell, you may have a child together, but babies don't dictate how a man feels about a woman. A woman can have 20 babies by a man, but if he does not want to be there, he won't. So if Mark wants to leave, just let him go. You'll be okay. Dolores, I can't just let him go. Right now, he's just being a man. He wants his family. I know he does. Well, Jalecia, welcome to Rock With Me.
Hello, thanks for having me, Sheree.
So today we're on chapter 17. It's
Mhm.
entitled Dream On. But the subject that we're going to be discussing today is helping people and then they turn on you. That is definitely something that I've been through. So
Yeah.
just a quick recap of the chapter. So Michelle McKenzie, who is Dolores's neighbor, she comes over at 2 in the morning, waking her out of her good sleep because her situation with her baby's father didn't go well. So she danced for her baby's father, Mark, and he rejected her. So she's over Dolores's house. And Dolores gets up, and Dolores is trying to do the Christian thing by being there, by not being selfish, because she really does want to go back to sleep. She was having a very good dream. And then while she's helping Shell was coming for her. Like she said some pretty she said some things that would definitely challenge me. Like, okay, I'm here helping you. You the one with the problem. I was cool.
Mhm.
um, and then what kind of got to me is that when Dolores was opening up to Shell, and she admitted, like, well, I know you don't see a man with me now, but I've had some, relationships that didn't go well. And she said, told her or confessed that she was with a married man once. And Shell gets upset. Now, you may not know the backstory of how Mark and Shell got together, but Mark and Shell hooked up while Mark was actually engaged to be married. Now,
Mhm.
with Shell and how some women think, they make things um acceptable based on what they want. So now she took a man who was engaged, but because he didn't have a child, she didn't consider that a family. However, she's coming for Dolores because Dolores admitted she was with a married man. And so because she, I guess in some way maybe feel convicted, she's trying to now get upset with Dolores
Mhm.
for being with the married man. It's a anyway. But I do know people, they do that. They make excuses for their behavior and then they want to crucify you.
Mhm.
Um And then she came when she said she was just saying like, trust God. This is Dolores talking to Shell. Trust God, He'll send you somebody. And then when she said, um, well, nothing is jumping off over here. Now that was my response when I wrote that in there because I definitely would have went there. But obviously, ain't nothing jumping off over there because you over here. So now I want to pose this question to you.
Okay.
Have you ever tried to help somebody only for them to turn on you and become angry with you when you were only trying to help them?
Yes, that has happened, and not too long ago. Actually, I ended up going to like a girls trip with one of my closest friends. She's been my friend for like 10 years. And while we were down there, she ended up getting robbed on her birthday. Like robbed, they came in her house, took all their cars, all their designer, their jewelry, everything. It was tragic, being in the middle of Miami with your girls and you get that phone call.
Right.
Everything kind of went downhill, and her kids were there too. And immediately she like, "This is y'all fault," like talking to her kids, and she's like, y'all always posting everything on social media." So me and this friend, we have never had any confrontation. There has been times where our relationship probably wasn't the um most confrontational. It was always just smoothened out. We always got along. We never argued. Everything that we did like disagree about, we like soft patched it. But this was a time I feel like I had to stand up like, no, friend, like you post too. Like you actually post a lot. You posted we were here, you posted we left, so don't just blame your sons. And when I tell you, I'm thinking that I'm being a friend and being honest and upfront about it. And it turned around on me to the point where she must have got really offended by it, called me jealous because of the things she posts, versus me just being a real friend and letting her know, like, okay, this is a transparent moment where I need to tell you, you post too. I watched you get out of your sons. They got it from you. Like, I mean, maybe y'all should limit and be a little more private. And she turned around on me, and after the trip it was like whatever, but after the trip they started making subliminals about me, her and her husband. It was like I was the target after they just got robbed and everyone took all their possessions. And it was like I approached it and everything, and at first she denied it, but then she halfway didn't. And I was just like, wow, like I should have just shut up. I shouldn't have said anything. Maybe I just should have kept my mouth closed. I thought I was being a good friend and being honest and telling her like, hey, you should be a little more private. But it just turned around on me. And to this day, we still have this kind of issue based on that encounter. So yes, and I feel so I felt so like belittled that I was being an honest friend, and it got turned around as me being jealous because I told you to limit what you post because you just got robbed. So it took me for a whirlwind for real.
Yeah, unfortunately, I hope that, y'all rekindle that because 10 years,
Yeah.
and you don't find, obviously, there's something there if you were friends for 10 years. So you don't find, that often, especially between women. A lot of times, I know guys who have still friends from high school, but, we just break up our friendships a lot of times as women over little stuff. So I hope y'all rekindle that.
we had a conversation, and I approached her about it, like, were y'all talking about me? Because it seemed like y'all were talking about me. And then it came out that, yeah, we kind of were talking about you. And we rekindled it a little bit, but she still does the every now so then like rants on, and I'm just like, I don't know where she stands. But me on my end, I forgave her for it. I'm like, I'm willing to move forward if you are, but then I see you still posting, like little jabs on the situation, and it just makes me feel like, okay, are we good or are we not? But I was definitely willing to work it out. The old me would have been like, I'm cutting her off. She talking about me on social media. But I'm like, nah, like this is the first time we've ever gotten into it. And, these things happen. We forgive our men all the time. I'm like, I'm not gonna just throw off my girlfriend like this.
Right.
But I kind of just left it like, just right now we just, I guess, trying to smooth it out. I haven't gotten to a point where I feel like I'm just not gonna talk to her, but I'm still trying to let her figure out how she wants to go about it, or if she has anything else she needs to say or get off her chest. But yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, because that's kind of small. That's not even like to me a. I mean, it's a big thing what happened to her, but like you telling her that is not. I don't know. I
It
don't. I
blew
don't.
up. And me telling her was such a small gesture, but then you calling me jealous and talking about me on social media, I'm like, whoa, like, when did this ever come up? We've never went to this extent with it, but I feel like they just wanted a target, and they were very sensitive towards everything. And I was like, well, maybe I told her at the wrong time. It was like every
Yeah, maybe.
maybe I
Yeah.
shouldn't have said anything right then and there, but my mom's like, no, you should have said it when you said it. I'm like, but the way she took it was like, no, everybody against us, and like it was just like, okay, no.
Yeah, and I can see that your reason. I didn't think of that at first, but when you're angry because you just want to blame somebody,
Mm-hmm.
so because you can't stop it. I've been robbed before. However, I did get everything back, because my neighbor was across the street, and it is like frustrating because you just feel like, oh my God, they were in my space. It is a lot, so maybe that's why, like, maybe just waited, if you would have waited a little while longer. But I understand what you mean because she was blaming her son. And so you're probably trying to diffuse
Mm-hmm.
that, like, no, let's kind of, um, read like at least everybody take credit for their part. It wasn't just him because that
Exactly.
was like a major attack on him too. Like you're blaming him for this whole incident.
Exactly. That's
And you
exactly.
can see as a friend, like, nope, it was all of y'all.
Exactly. That's how it went, and it just was like, whoa. And I'm like, okay. I felt like, whoa, like, let me. Am I best to not say nothing, or just like, geez, like the moment? And I'm not very confrontational, so that was a lot for me to even say that. To step up and be like, okay, my conscience is like, you better tell your friend the truth now. Don't let her just gang up on little boy like that. Like,
And that
but
is true, and that's the thing. Like, we need to get to know each other. A lot of times, one person can do something, and because you know their character. Okay, they did it, they meant it maliciously. But if she knows, if y'all have this history, and she knows that you're not that kind of person, you know, to really like try to bash you for this, especially when you're usually not confrontational. Um, I don't know. That I
yeah,
think that's her throwing away a good friend.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
takes somebody with wisdom to kind of know, like,
yeah.
this ain't the person I want to throw away, because it is really hard to get good people on your side.
Mhm.
Especially nowadays, people are so cutthroat. Like, some people wouldn't have said nothing, like,
Mhm.
that's what you, but told everybody else that's what she did. So the fact that you came directly to her, I would have appreciated that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Um. Yeah, I would have. Um. Now, I know I have a few situations, but
Yeah.
this one baffled me. It was with one of my siblings. Now,
Hmm.
I've been that mama sister. So a lot of my siblings I raised. And so my one sibling, I helped him get his house, actually talked him into it, like, you should do this, helped him fix his credit, helped him get his house. And when he got his house, he changed on me. And I do, like, I'll do home improvement stuff. I rehab my house. So I, redid the bathroom. So with him, he said, can you lay the ceramic tile? Now, mind you, I had an upcoming trip to Texas that me and my son were going to take. It was a road trip. And so I said, "Oh, that's cool because I can teach my son how to lay ceramic tile." Because I was trying to be that mom who prepared my kids for life. Like
Mhm.
with my daughter before she went out to college, I was like, "You don't got to be nappy headed just because you're in college. I'm gonna teach you how to do your hair. That way you can look decent and you can probably make some money." So with my son, I try to do the same thing. So I'm like, this is an opportunity for me to teach you how to do a trade, teach you how to do ceramic tile. So I only charged my sibling $100 to do his bathroom, his hallway, and his kitchen. And I told him, I said, and I was just giving $100 to my son. I was teaching him, and then it was going to be him. So pretty much with me, it was free. So I just told him, remove the doors, remove the toilet if you want it to be, streamlined and simple and no, janky cuts around the toilet, just clean up. And then I had a list of things for him to get. And he had the utmost attitude towards me. And so I'm like, like, why you got an attitude? And so he really didn't tell me, but the last day I told him, I said, all I got to do is come back, finish this section, grout, and then seal, but leave the $100 on the counter. So when I got back, when I came to his house, he didn't have the $100 on the counter. So I called him and we're arguing. He was like, "Well, I paid you." Dude, you didn't pay me. This was like a $2,000 job. You didn't pay me. So I just said, Forget it. I don't have time for this." And so I left. Because mind you, I was working my full-time job, coming over there doing that, trying to plan a trip. So he didn't even realize what I was giving up to him. It took me 11 and a half hours to do that job. And he didn't even pay me or to do what I did. I still had more to do. And so he's going around telling people, "Yeah, Ray bogus. She did me bad. She did me bad." So one person I ended up talking to. And so he was like, yeah, I went by and seen it. You didn't finish it and you didn't like you cut around the toilet. I said I told him to remove it. And when he didn't, I just cut him, I did the janky job. Or I just cut it around and I don't like how that look either. I like it flushed. And I told him to remove the doors. He didn't. I didn't have time to come over there and do all of that. I was tired from work and I was going home. So he was like, "Yeah, but he said he paid you." I said, "He paid me 100. He didn't even pay me $100. I was charging him $100." He said, "Shut up." So he was leaving stuff out when he was telling the story and making it seem like he paid me. When he really did, that wasn't, you didn't pay me. That wasn't paid.
So he hadn't even paid the $100 yet.
He didn't even pay that. Still to this day, hasn't I have not me or my son have gotten that. And I don't know if he still got that kitchen floor or not, but or the floor that I laid down, but I we even talked about it later because he was, wanting me my our relationship back. And I
Mhm,
said, because there was some other stuff that he did that was bogus too. And I
mhm,
said, "No, you hurt me." He didn't even care. He was like, "Well," I said, "Well, if you feel like that, that was okay for you to do, I don't. So I don't want this kind of relationship." And he goes around or has, I don't, he stopped, was going around to the family. "Well, Ray, we need to get together as a family." Now you trying to twist that around, trying to
mhm,
make it seem like I don't want peace. And it's like,
mhm.
no, I don't want to be around nobody who can dog me out and then think that's okay. No, we're not fit to do that.
And so he never confronted the issue or made it, or you never tried to get to the other side with why he felt how the way he felt and trying to get, he just brushed it over.
He brushed it over and act like it was no big deal, like I'm just supposed to take it. And I
Mm,
have to blame myself because with some of my siblings, I just did stuff and I did overlook a lot of stuff as they were growing up because I don't know, because I loved them. And I think I taught them that it's okay. Like, if you do this to me, I may yell, but I'm going to be right there by your side. So I think I should have dealt with some things years prior and it
mhm,
wouldn't have got this bad because what he also did to me is when my mom passed away and I had her body shipped here from Texas. And so while I was planning the funeral, he said when we were in Texas, he said I could stay with him. So now we took separate flights. I flew back here and I get here, it was like 10 o'clock at night, and he's not even home. And he didn't answer his phone. I had to go stay with my ex-husband's father. He didn't even call to check to see if I was there. Like if I made it, if I was okay, to apologize. I had to track him down in the morning. I'm like, "What happened?" "Oh, we was gone. We was at Walmart." So
oh
just
my
real nasty and cold. So it's something in his heart against
God.
me. And but he wants me because he knows I help him with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of dirty. He's not a person that I want to hang around. I love him, but
Right.
no, it's something in him. And then the time when I gave my mama her first car. So, I gave my mama this car and I just told her, I'm trying my best to be respectful and kind of tiptoe around it, but I had to say it. So I'm like, Mom, um, I know you're dating so and so, but I'm not giving this car to you. I'm giving it to, I mean, him, I'm giving it to you. So, I want you to learn how to drive so you won't be on the bus. So
Mm-hmm.
can you not let him drive the car? So she got a little stinky attitude towards me. So I'm like, well, I said it.
Right.
And so a couple months later, my brother, I come over there. My brother was like, my daddy, he stole a car. My daddy stole the car, and it was gone for a couple weeks, so we just got it back. So I look at my mom. I said, Mom, is that true? She got an attitude with me. Well, yeah, but we got it back. And I said, well, how did he feel that comfortable with taking the car? Because she took the title too, she
He took
said.
the title.
She never went and got it registered. So I said, Mom, anything he did in that car, my name was still on it because you didn't get it registered. So why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you call and tell me? I could have, reported it stolen or whatever. Well, I got it back. She had a nasty attitude towards me. And so then she was like, well, he didn't give me the title back, so can you help me with that? So now she's still asking me to help her. Well, of course, now I want to because I want to get my name off of it.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm taking off of work tomorrow. We're going down there, and you got the money to switch it over because I don't want I don't want this, especially because you didn't take care of your part, and now you kind of put me in a situation because if he did something in that car, they're gonna come for me, the owner. So just trying to be nice, help her out, get her off the bus, and that ended up happening. And I found out that she was letting him drive in because he was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna fix that." Um, and now this story, actually, this is funny. This somebody else was trying to help somebody, but she was in my old sister-in-law. She was in the driveway of Burger King. And so she said this lady was going around car to car asking people for money so she can get something to eat. So now, just like I would have thought, my sister-in-law was like, "Well, we're at Burger King. Lady, what do you want?" And she's like, "What kind of burger you want?" She was like, "Burger? I don't eat no burgers." And my sister-in-law cussed her out, told her to get away from her car. But trying to help people out, how you gonna be rude? Talking about you want something to eat. I think she didn't think that one out through. Think that
Girl,
one through.
yeah, she didn't. She just wanted the money, boy. Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, it's tricky with siblings too. I only have a brother. I've had a situation similar, but I know with siblings it gets a little tough because it's like you can't just kick them out your life like that. I mean, some people think you can. I mean, in some cases you might have to, but it does become more of a challenge when it's a sibling for sure. Like, cause you like really got to figure out, try to your best at least to get to the other side. Because you're like, this person's gonna be around for life. We share the same mother or a father, so yeah, I can only imagine how frustrating that could have been.
Well, I did totally kind of distance myself. I recently seen him, and um we're cordial. Like, I'll speak to him, but as far as like all that, Ray, I need to talk to you, I cut
Mhm.
that out. And I still, like, when I lived in Minnesota, he came out there with his fiance, and I still, was Ray. Because me, you come visit me, especially you don't stay in the same city. I will host you. So we went out to eat to the Mall of America. We did this, it was like an escape room, and we had a blast, and went to the park, rented this, it's like this 4-person bike, whatever, and we had a blast. And I think from there he just thought, "Oh, we're back." And he tried calling me with his, I'm like, "No," because not only did he do those things to me, but he was going around telling people Ray never helped me, like, kind of bashing me and trying to turn other people against me. I just didn't like that. That's toxic.
Mhm.
So I don't, because I don't want it to bring me back to the old me, because that
Mhm.
stuff will, like, "Oh, okay, you taking advantage of my kindness," and then you go, what's that saying? you peeing on me and telling me it's raining. So it's like he wants to do this, and it doesn't even matter if I trigger him or not. So it's unhealthy. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like a hate, I feel like. So no, I'm
Yeah,
good. I'm good with that. Um, now
that's
this
good.
ne-
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say this next question. I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, but most of the time when people are asking for help, especially today, they don't really mean help me. They mean give me what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, why do you think so many people feel entitled to other people's money, time, and resources?
Um, I think one of the main reasons is just the reason why they feel entitled is because they really don't value those resources. And maybe they have not been put in experience or life turmoil, which would make them value those things. So they take it so lightly when it comes to using someone else's. Like, it's just like someone is, if you started a business from scratch and it took your blood, sweat, and tears to build this business, and you started with a little bit of money and your business get off the ground, like, you are very much so valuable of the things about your business, the money, the things you put into it, it's more valuable to you. So if someone else, in another business, and they're in a similar situation, you would value that. You're not so quick to ask because you like, I can see they worked hard for that. I'm not entitled to that. That was the work they put in. So I think it's a huge idea of how they value their resources. Like, people think money and time is just this, and not valuing it is something more, something that's worth value. So when they use it from other people, it's just like, it's an entitlement, or it's not as worth as much when it's coming from someone else, because they really don't know the true value of these things. So I think it's just how they value their own resources shows how they will value someone else's. And then another thing is just, there's people just have, I mean, a lot of, like, my family, for example, they have a scarcity mindset where, they're using up their resources so quickly. They're not able to handle themselves financially, balancing themselves. They're just so used to being down to the bottom of the barrel and always needing this, and that. And they can't even take the time to even think of how this is affecting this person, or am I looking like a beggar? They don't even care because they're living in this scarcity type mindset. So I think that's a big thing, which is also known, which leads to, like, why they would be selfish. A lot of people are just selfish, selfish with everyone else's resources too. So
I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely what you said, to piggyback off on it, is the people who had to struggle to get what they have versus people who were just handed stuff. And so when you grow up like that, you can't value it because you don't know what it's like to get up when you don't feel like getting up and pour into something when you don't feel like pouring into it. So you're used to just getting, so in your little world, things just come to you. And usually those kind of people don't even care. Like, they just tell you, I want this. They don't care what you had to do to
Mhm.
get it. They don't care. And then part of that comes from us spoiling our kids and trying to make everything easy for them because we had it difficult, not realizing those difficult struggles is what made us appreciate and value the things that we work for.
That's good. I hear that
Um,
from parents with older children. Mine is still little, but I hear that a lot, like how they wish they wouldn't have spoiled them so much, and it's playing an effect as they're in their later years. So yeah, that's
yeah,
a good.
Yeah, because a lot of parents don't get it. Like some of them, I mean, even to the degree they don't give them chores. I know with my kids, especially when I became a single mom, after my divorce, my kids weren't helping me. Y'all pulling y'all weight around here. We're a team. We all use this house, and so a lot of my friends would be like, "Oh, your kids, they help you." No, they don't. They pull their weight. Like we all use the toilet. We all use the dishes. We all should be cleaning it up. And so I was very adamant, like, no, every Saturday, y'all not fit to just go kicking and leave me cleaning up the house when I
Yeah.
worked all week and we all use this. So looking at it from that, like, I don't think a lot of kids even have chores.
Mm,
Like folding towels and putting up, learning that no, things don't just happen. You have to make it happen.
mhm.
Um, and then too, it's this society, this get it your way, get it now. It's all about you. Everything should.
Microwavable.
You said what?
Microwavable, like Pastor said.
Yes. Microwavable. You don't have to wait for nothing, easy peasy. It's the society, the spirit of society is, it's everything is easy, but there's somebody who's working. Like
Mm,
everything can't be easy for everybody. It takes work to get things done. Even to do your hair, like that ain't no punk to do hair. I used to do hair. You got to stand on your feet like somebody sacrificing. So I came to understand that love really is both a compilation of giving and taking. And we've gotten used to love being taking, and you're depleting people. And I
mhm.
feel like we're making those people who give and give, or they're allowing themselves to be made into people who are bitter because they've given out so much and they're not getting it back. And then you
Mhm.
got these people who are taking, taking, taking. When they do deplete you, they just go to the next victim. It's this crazy cycle.
Yeah, I see a lot of that in my own family. It's I see it all the time for sure. Um, yeah, that's good.
And so now this next question. Can you remember or recall a time that you worked hard on something or for something only to have somebody else come and squander it or disregard it?
Um, I would say yeah. This actually kind of fell into my like last relationship with my ex. As you know or don't know, I'm a life insurance agent now. But it wasn't easy getting here. Like the test, preparing for the test was hard. It's the hardest test. I went to 4 years in business finance. This test was harder than any test I have ever
Wow.
taken in college, and I passed it with my first try. And I had been studying for almost a year, like, because I've dragged it out with the kiddo. And he was an entrepreneur already. He had a lot of money, he had business already going on, and he was more on the controlling side, which is kind of why we didn't work out. But I got the license finally. He never was like excited about it, I guess. And I guess he didn't never took it seriously until I'm like, well, he never did take it seriously. That's why I'm bringing this up. But once I was like, babe, I passed the test. I passed the test. Like, I'm so excited. It's one of the happiest days of my life. And he was like, oh, congrats. And it was just kind of just like brushed off, like, okay, what we gonna eat? Like, I was so, I was kind of hurt by that because, and not only that, it was the conversations after that that really made it dawn like, this man really don't, he just threw away my whole accomplishment. He's like, well, life insurance is cool, but I think you should just open up a daycare. Um, I'll fund it. And I'm like, man, I told you like how much this means to me. This is like a purpose to me. Like, this is what I wanted to do. He was like, but a daycare will take off and we'll make this, and that. And I was just like, ew, this is not for me. That was one of the first, not one of the first, but one of the biggest red flags I've seen in my relationship on why I didn't think it was gonna work out. But um, yeah, it hurt my feelings for sure. But the way things turned around, I ended up like, I'm doing great now. So, and he's like, oh, she said she would. Yeah, I did. And, and not running the daycare, so, but yeah, that really did hurt my feelings. But I just use it as a lesson and move forward with it. What
Well, I
about
do want to, I was going to say, I do want to say congratulations because I did hear that test was pretty dogmatic. I had a girlfriend who was trying to study for it, and she had
you?
been studying, stopping and starting. She was saying it
Mhm.
was kind of difficult.
Thank you. Yes, it was. I'm happy I passed. But I'm ready now. I can help anybody else who needs to take it. So yeah, so that they'll get through it and not have to go through as much stress as I did trying to get through it. But yeah,
Well, yeah, I definitely had my share. One with my siblings because I used to have monthly, these monthly dinners, and
hmm
I don't think they understood what it took. Like not realizing I had to work all week, And then, I had kids at the time and cleaning up the house and going grocery shopping to get the stuff and making the dinners. And after a while, I have that, oh, they knew this every month. So they'll come by, oh, well, I'm not going to stay long because I got somewhere else to go. Oh,
Mhm.
we're not really hungry. Just kind of, or sometimes not even showing up, and I'm making all this food, and I'm like, and then now you got to figure out what to do with it. And so I stopped it, and then after a
Mhm.
while they're like, well, we missed the monthly dinners. And so I was like, well, we gonna have to alternate because I'm not doing it all by myself, and just to have this again. So we started that, and that worked for a while, and then they stopped. But um I will have to say that a lot of times we do those things and people miss, getting together and Big Mama and them. And one of the reasons why it stops when Big Mama dies is because we don't allow, or we don't teach people that family is part of their job too. Like when we get together, your presence is as just as important as Big Mama's presence.
Mhm.
You showing up bringing, whatever part you brought, if it's the macaroni and cheese or if it's the soda, is important. And people want family, but people don't like to usually be family.
Mm.
Like then
So
they get mad. Nobody's there for me. Well, who were you there for? Because it takes all of us to do that. And it's important for us to get together. As you see, society feels loveless because we've adopted that it's all about me idea. And
mhm.
it takes, it feels loveless, but it also, we have to kind of be reconditioned to understand we got to give. And it's not always when we feel like it. Showing up, for family gatherings and, family and friends, it's actually healthy for us to get away from the monotony of our schedules, our work, schedules, our daily routines, to sit around and laugh and eat. That's actually the food for the soul, that soul food, where that comes from, and just remember, reminisce on the old stories and stuff. That stuff is actually healthy for us to do. But we take advantage of that, and then when it's not there, then we miss it. But then a lot of it, the main people who be complaining are the ones who don't want to contribute, or they barely show up, or and they want it when they need it. Like, oh, I need my family now because you done broke up with your boo.
Mhm. So when so after you stopped making the plates, they noticed it wasn't there. So they were like, what happened? But when you were doing it, they weren't really valuing it.
Yeah,
Is
they
that
stopped, like, because we would get together, have fun, make up look stupid games, and but then after a while, it was like, oh, okay. And it's like, well, I'm doing it, I'm holding it up, and this is a lot of work and money, so and we started doing it. I did like it when we were alternating, go to my sister's house and then my brothers and my other, so I like that because it freed me up. And I didn't have to, prepare my house too, because that's always a big thing that you got to clean up. But then
Mhm.
that, it died off. It's like, oh, I can't do it this month, and I let it go. I'm like, okay, okay,
Mhm.
I'll let it go. Um, and now this one is more personal. This was with my ex too, because my ex was the type, he always had these ideas, but I used to call him a slave driver. Now, this is funny though, because my son, he did one of those DNA kit things, and he found that the a tribe that they came from, they were actually slave drivers. So I thought that was hilarious because I used to always call my ex a slave driver. So it's in his blood. But he did stuff, but when it got hard, he just he'll sit down on you. So when we were building our house, we signed up for this construction company where we can hire them to do a part of it, and then we would do the rest. So we signed up to do the finishing work. So that's like the walls, ceramic floor and all that, ceramic tile and all of that. And so when we got down, I let him handle it. Well, he actually punked me and was like, sit down, I got it. But when I realized it wasn't going fast enough, I started investigating and realized he wasn't on top of it. So trying to save us some money and stretch it for to cover other things, I told him I'll do the countertops. And so I went and got some ceramic tile and was going to do them, do that way because the granite was too expensive. And so my friend helped me because he wouldn't. And then he walks in and he didn't like it. And he was like, I don't like this. Picked up a hammer and started busting it up.
Sure, right. Wait. So you had another guy come in and help you do it.
My
You
friend. No, it was a woman.
okay. Wait. I'm like, hold on. I thought you were saying like another guy. And he
No.
came in. It was like, Oh wow. He
No, it
really
was
it up?
yep, he came and just busted it up. And my girlfriend was like, "Oh, And she was like, "I gotta go," because I knew she would have flipped out on him. And so I just was like, "Well, okay," because I was just used to him doing that. And he even did that with me on the same property. I did it was it a 10 by 10 patio paver. So I had it tamped and then I did the leveling with the sand and then had the bricks laid down and he drove his truck over it when it wasn't fit. And I kept telling them, it's not ready yet. I gotta put the dirt back over around it so it can settle. And he was like, it's okay, drove it over, and sure enough, it sunk, half of it sunk. So he would do stuff like that. He wouldn't come out there and help me with it. It was so bad the neighbors would get mad. They would come up, he's not helping you, and I'm like, it's okay. Because it was kind of like it became my thinking time.
Hmm.
Like these projects just became my thinking time because he was living with him was stressful. It stressed me out. It took me out of my cool charade from high school to like I did get to the point where I felt like I was crazy because he was very provoking. But yeah, just people who don't work hard or who easy they don't value the hard work that you put into it. And I definitely if anything I definitely saw that in my last marriage because he was always trying to do the easy part. He liked to delegate, like I said, the slave driver, he liked to tell you what to do, but
Hmm.
he wasn't going to work that hard.
Mm. Yeah, not realistic either. Like I know what you mean by that. They're just yeah, not realistic at all, and not even connecting the dots either. They just have this bizarre way of thinking, and but they have never proven it, or they don't even have credibility to even be speaking on the things that they're speaking on. I know what you mean. I had someone like that.
Yeah. And with the ceramic tile thing, like, I'm not gonna lie, after a while when it started kind of getting up, I was like, I kind of don't like it. But it just should have been the way he handled it was out of order. Like you could have talked to me, told me like, well, I don't like it. I think we should change it. And then been a partner and say, let's go pick it out together.
Hmm.
Because I think at the time I was just trying to get it done. Because we were staying in a place and I was like, I want to get out of here. So,
Hmm.
but it still prolonged it. It was just the way he handled it because he didn't care, like he didn't sit there and he didn't have to lift
Hmm.
that stuff and go pick it out and bring it home and then set up everything. He didn't have to do that. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
So now this next question, and you touched on this a little bit with your friend, but let's dive into it. Many
Hmm.
people say, tell me the truth,
Hmm.
but really they don't mean it.
Hmm.
Being totally honest, would you rather have someone tell you the truth about yourself or tell you what you want to hear? And if they said something that hurt you, but you know it's true, would you stop speaking to them altogether?
Okay. Well, being brutally honest, yes, I would want someone to tell me the truth about myself at this point in my life. I'm big on that. But there's a but. They have to definitely make sure they're weighing their words with me when they tell me. I'm real big on like it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Like I promise anything, even the most uncomfortable. I've tried an exercise like this. Saying the most uncomfortable things to people, it really be like how you say it, like totally how you say it. Like and then I gotta know the context too, and I gotta know the character of the person. Like you mentioned earlier, does she have a past of saying or being jealous or whatever? No, she doesn't. So don't just assume that this is what that is, and this is not the context of the relationship or the context of who this person is or showed themselves to be. So when someone is telling me the truth, if this is a messy person who just likes to gossip or just want to like make themselves feel, they always wanted to feel be bigger, then I might look at it a little skewed. But if this is coming from one of my genuine friends or family members, or even if they're not genuine and they might be just telling me some information like this for the first time and I don't know much about them, I would prefer to hear the truth. I do want them to definitely though weigh their words with me and making sure that it's not coming and cutting me, um, because if you here to cut me, I'm not real big on the people that's like, I'm gonna keep it real no matter what. I can only go so far with those kind of people sometimes because sometimes keeping it real is not the best thing that's for that person all the time. Like if someone's smelling or if someone, is probably having I, certain things I don't bring up, I think that are just against the rules, like teeth and acne and it's just certain boundaries when it comes to certain things. But um, do I want somebody to tell me I got acne? No, I know I got acne. It's certain things like I don't know, but for the most part though, like characteristics, something I did wrong. I want someone to tell me for sure. Cause I have been in situations where no someone didn't tell me and then it twirls in. I'm like, wow, like nobody told me. I was more so offended in the long term and it cut me even more knowing that I was around these people and they ain't say nothing to me, or no one was keeping it 100 with me. So
Yeah, and I'm with you. It just all depends. Like you said, like with the acne thing, it's obvious. Like if you got a bump on your face, you know you got acne. So it's like you don't have to tell me that.
hmm
Now if it's pussing out, like you get what I'm saying. If it's coming out, it's like, dude, you need to. It has to be a reason why you're like a good reason why you're telling
yeah,
me. Is it helping me?
yeah.
If it was you, would you want to know?
hmm
That's what I'm kind of, is it hurting somebody else? That kind of thing. I totally agree. Things that people can't change, what's the point of telling them? Because a lot of times they already know that. Like you don't have to say that, is just being dogmatic.
hmm
But I definitely, I'm one, please tell me the truth. And I usually tell my friends, if I find that you're a friend, I would say, tell me the truth. I know me. I'm probably gonna try to talk over it, talk, like, well, make excuses for it. But me, when I get to myself, I deal with it. I have a heavy conscience, and God would deal with me, and then I'll come back to you and say, you know what, you're right. And so just letting my friend know how I process things. Don't ease up off of me just because I'm, trying to explain it away. Like this is just how I do it. And I will come back and thank you, because then I'm going to consider this person really does have my back. Or if they don't, even if they don't, I still feel like it's I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to mature. Because a lot of times we're so used to ourselves, we don't realize we're even doing stuff that's kind of out of that is it's difficult,
hmm
because it's
I,
been a part of, not difficult, but it's, what am I trying to say? It's a problem, a problem for other people.
hmm Yeah, because we're internal, we're inside our own skin. It's hard for us to see things. I learned the most about me from other people, like my mom or my daughter. Like Jalecia, you are grouchy in the morning. Like, am I? Like, okay, thank you for telling me because I didn't know. I just be going. When life is going, you just be in your ways. You learn a lot in relationships too, but you got to be with the right partner because sometimes they'll use you can't really go by what they say sometimes because they can be using it to hurt you or make themselves right. So it depends on who it's coming from for sure. Um, but yeah, like you said, I agree with the if it's not gonna change anything, like like is it what is this gonna help? Are you just saying something just to be saying something, just to be cutting, just to let me know or like it does depend on the context. But for the most general part, yes, tell me the truth. Like because like you said, I'm the type like you too. Like I'll be like, I'm very combat. I can be like, always think I'm right sometimes, like, but this, but that. And my conscience, the spirit will tell me later on, like, nope, they were getting something through to you. I was trying to get through to you. And then I'd be like, okay, all right. It does take some time to process it for me too, but I would still prefer the truth because it always comes to me like it will come to you. Like this person, like whether you want to admit it or not, even my friend, I'm pretty sure she lied. she ain't admitted it. I can tell in her actions sometimes that she's apologetic. She calls me like or send me random stuff like, but she won't apologize or she won't admit to it. But I feel like that conscience is like, nah, she is a good friend, you know? So I think it always is gonna come back to you that that person was being truthful and that you should be, you know, you should value that. So yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of want to offer this too, because a lot of times when we're in relationships, whether romantic or friendships, if it was toxic, you end up picking up stuff too that you may not have done before. For
Hmm.
instance, with me, I probably have done it now, but I realized that I had a tendency of over talking people, or or even this, like sharing. If you had shared a story, oh, I got a story to share, and when I recognized it, I was like, God, where did that come from? Because I didn't used to be like that, and I realized it was because in my old marriage, he wouldn't listen to me. So he wouldn't, like, if he'll tell me stuff and I'll be like, oh, helping him through his whatever issue he had. And as soon as I start talking about something on me, he's watching TV, or it's like he's like, hurry up, like so I think when I got divorced, I was like, I'm gonna be heard. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So a lot of times it's good for people us to sharpen each other and say, well, because I just actually had somebody confirm it because I said it and she was like, yeah. And I was like, I do it. I was explaining why, I believe why I did it. And so I prayed and I said, God, help me with that. So now I'm aware of it. Now I'm aware. So I'm praying, God, help me get rid of that spirit because that didn't used to be me. I used to be the person that people came up to in middle school and high school and shared their deepest, darkest secrets. And I was a listener. And so it's like, and I understand that Satan will connect you when you're called to something, because I know I'm called to hear and kind of counsel people, I guess you can say, because I've been doing it, since before I realized that's what I was doing. He will sometimes connect you in relationships that will try to take away what you need to do what God called you to do.
Mm. That's good you brought that up. Like the whole coming back with a story. I had recognized that I was doing that too. Like that I was when someone says something, well, this happened with my kid, and I'm like, and I bring up my kid, and then, or this happened with my man, and I'm coming back with another job with what my man did similar to it, like, and then I had to correct myself. God made it very loud to me one day, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. So, and I wanted to be more of a listener and letting them kind of just dawn into me versus me like going, and being a good listener, yeah. And I was like, and then I became aware of it and I stopped. But it's crazy you said that because I noticed that I was doing that too, and I was like, I don't like that.
Well, you
Oh,
pray for me as I battle this, because I did
oh,
12 years in this marriage. And that's why a lot of times when you get out of relationships, you have to sit down and do instant replay. You got to go back and kind of ponder on, like, what did it do to me? How have I changed? What could I did better? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And why did I choose this person? Like, you really have to sit down and acknowledge where you are. And I
and it's
think,
you did that for you to be able to catch those details that you brought up, like that's impressive to be like to know where it came from. You have to really take the time to really think that through, like when you said that you weren't being heard and realizing that played a part on your relationships in the future. That's impressive. That's something to take for thought though.
well, that comes through prayer, because I was like, Lord, help me. Because my old pastor, he taught on the Holy Spirit and how the Holy Spirit is there and how we don't utilize the Holy Spirit. We talk in third person. Is it third person? Yeah, we talk in third person, but we don't direct sometimes our requests and our concerns to him. And there's that scripture in Proverbs. Trust the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, um, acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. Acknowledging him, it's like I'm talking to somebody about you, and you like, I'm right here, so it's almost like disrespectful. Like,
Mm,
God, God, he gonna come through, but we ain't never talking to God. So me, I've learned how to utilize, like, God, help me through this. And
mm,
he usually does. So
yeah.
he never lost the battle. And he
See?
never will, he never will.
There-
Um, Now I want to bring this up too because I was watching this video that, do you know Pastor Darius Davis? I think he's with Change Church. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So he was
In
talking
Milwaukee.
about, no, he's not in Milwaukee. I don't even know where he is. I just kind of caught him on the fly
Hmm.
on YouTube, girl. But he was talking about soulmates. So somebody had asked this question: is there like one special person that God has for you in the world that is just your soulmate, or is it somebody that is just approved for you? And so he took it from this perspective. He said, your for one, he explained what the soul was: your mind or your thoughts, your emotions, and your will. And he said we all have been in relationships with people who weren't good for our minds, for our emotions, and for how what they provoked us to do. So he was explaining that, when a soulmate is a person that God approves, that is good for your mind, your emotions, and your will. So in essence, he left us with, there isn't one person, there's just a good, compatible, healthy fit.
Mm.
So does that make sense?
So there's not one person, but there are. So you're saying there can be more than one person as long that is compatible or healthily fit. That's what you're saying. It can be more than one then.
Yeah, it can be more than one. It's just that God has to approve them.
Oh, thank God. Thank God I'm not working with a needle in a haystack. There can be more than one.
Yes, it could. And he gave this example. He said he had a friend who was married, and
Mhm.
they had a great marriage, and then the spouse died, and then the person got remarried and they had a great marriage. So it's who's healthy for you.
Mhm.
It's
Well,
it's
they make soulmates sound so hard. I mean, dating out here and finding that everybody wants it, and it just seems like it's this one person and you got to find them and they can be anywhere. And, me personally, I never believed in that like completely like that. Like, I believe because I've met different people. I've met people like men that were good, decent men and, good spirits, but there probably was something about a standard of mine that allowed me not to continue on the relationship, but those were more physical standards, like how many kids you got and like age and like things that I did have as a standard, but they weren't just bad people. Like I was like, oh, I could see myself probably being with this person minus that, so I've met decent men, like, or decent people in general, and you'll meet them later too. Like you'll think that they were people you should have started off with, or that you had to have had grown with. But no, these people can just some of the best people I've met them like it was such a shorter span of getting to know them and being like, wow, this is like my type of person, versus being in this long, extenuous relationship and being like, no, this ain't it. So yeah, I do believe in that too. Like that there's not just one person. There's people. I feel like God is the common denominator. So, as long as they got that, I mean that opens up the door.
well, I don't kind of 100% agree with that, because everybody's on a different path. We all start at a different place, and we
Hmm.
all mature at a different pace. And I believe when it comes to God, he says, okay, this one is mature enough for you.
Hmm.
Because, like with me, even though I got married young and I didn't see my parents married, I was mature enough to be willing to grow, to say, okay, we can work on that. I can work, I can compromise for peace
Hmm.
and speaking life into my mate, and, and growing. Because I don't believe that, I do believe you can be young and have, be married at 19, 20 years old and stay married together if you both are willing to become like one. But if you're
Hmm.
immature, and your immaturity is, I got to have my way all the time, being selfish. Selfish people shouldn't get married anyway, because that's almost like an oxymoron. You can't become one and be separate. So selfish people is like, it's all about me. So they don't have the desire to be like one.
Hmm.
So, just having certain fruit, certain people with certain type of fruit, are healthy, and God knows to say, okay, not this one, but this one.
Mhm.
So I think we pray and ask Him, to send us a healthy mate, and then He says this one is, and we have to pursue that. We can still choose
Mhm.
to say yes or no, but for the most part, He's saying this one is okay because He's all about purpose. Will you
Mhm.
establish my purpose? I'll give you what you want, but you have to give me something. A lot of us, we think it's all about us, like God is just here, like He's this genie that we go and tell we want this. He's on the main line, tell him what you want, and He's just gonna give it to you. And He's like, no, we're partnering. I'll
Mhm.
give you this, but and I'm sending you somebody because I believe you both will listen to me, and
Mhm.
then you'll be extensions to help other people. So if I give you this good marriage, will you help other people's marriage?
Mm.
You know what I mean? If I give you this good marriage, will you help? I put on her heart to do I don't, what do you call that, a orphanage. And so will you partner with her to do an orphanage to take care of these kids who've been praying for a family? So things like that. It's not just about us, even with God. God is saying, nope, I'll give it to you, but you have to render your life over to me too.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's so tough. Like in this day, well, look, we could this can extend to a lot of different avenues we've talked about, but yeah, just finding someone alone. That's why I said as him being the common denominator, just finding someone who loves God, like men in my generation, and I hate to be like so broad, like secluded with it, like in my generation, but like it's hard enough just finding someone who really genuinely loves God the way you love God. Like that's like the first part, like, oh my God, like, but like you said, there are levels to it because people, I've seen men who love God who still, we don't have the same fruits, you know. So it does become like a layering thing too. I try to put myself in this mindset of not making it as complicated, and just trusting and believing that, in the right time God will, you know put it.
And honestly, the key to it is just listening to God when He tells you to go here and do this and do that, because He leads us. Like, I shared this before, what I've learned in my walk, because trust me, my life does not look like I thought it was gonna look when I
Mhm.
started out. It does not. But
No.
no. Um, but I've learned that the key is to listen to get to know God and how He speaks to you.
Mhm.
And He'll tell you where to be. Because He's grooming you. He does more than one thing at a time. He's, for one, building your character to handle whatever you are looking to have, building you so that you can keep it. That's why it says, what God puts together, let no man tear asunder, because God would have prepared us for it. So God is not going to put us in a marriage without first explaining to us or showing us, or even allowing, knowing that we'll be able to receive, being patient and kind. And so it may look different from me to you. You may be one that, you'll submit to your husband who is showing you that, and say, oh, okay, you have a level of submission because you feel that he has your best interest, where he may prepare me ahead of time. And I may come to a husband, and I have to remember it, he had to show me outside the marriage because I may not have quickly submitted, like, you know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, He's going to put people together who's going to submit to what his version of love is,
Mm.
because he's called us to live in peace. So,
Mhm.
when we do have conflict, then what do? We go to the word of God and say, this is how we handle it. So he's not going to connect somebody together. You grind me, and you always get in your way. That he didn't have nothing to do with that.
Mm-mm.
My man, all this bragging, all you got to do 3 steps to get the man, and they ain't none of it God.
Real big, sure. I'm real good, Sheree, on the God did not send you. I'm real big on that part. Like that's the easiest thing. I told you, dating gets easier now. Like I can just tell from a person right away. Like God didn't send you. He wouldn't send a messy person or a liar or a man with. I mean, I hope no one takes offense, but a man with multiple kids to a woman like me, like with only one. Like I don't know. he certain things I just know he's not sending. So my filtering is so like no, 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 no. Um and I don't think I'm picky. I just think God just makes it way more like apparent. And I'm so grateful for that because I have these lenses I have. If I would have had them 10 years ago, boy. But it took that. It took all of that. It took all the experience for me to get these lenses. But um, yeah, return. I'm real big on the return to sender.
That
We
you
gonna
real big on it now. So
real
I ain't gonna lie, especially in Milwaukee. Like, well, God knows I can't say that because being a woman of faith, God knows where the man is, and he can be because you're only supposed to say yes to one person in one season, So he'll know where to send us because we have all these no's, and then the yes will be like right in the middle, and it may take a while. We may have to go through 20 no's, like a maze.
absolutely.
um, but anyway, this last question.
Hmm.
How do you handle someone who you helped turning on you today versus how you used to handle them years ago?
So back in the day, if you like straight out betrayed me, turned on me, we probably would have had a physical altercation back in the day. Like not just like I've had a girl, a friend actually end up going a notch too far with my guy. And it was an instant. It was an instant. There wasn't no talking. I pulled up. It was just,
Oh, hands.
yeah,
Gave
it
her
was,
hands.
it was that. So years ago, that's how I would have been very impulsive, very, oh, we ain't got to talk about it. Like, we
Oh,
just,
you was about that life. Oh, look at
oh,
you. You so sweet.
I, yeah, they be like, look, be careful, she's smiling. No, no, I was Sheree's crazy, but because, and I think it's because I was so sweet still. I was still sweet me. So when people would run over me, it's like I went 0 to 100. Like it was like mask off. Like so that's how I used to handle it. Today, I'm today I'm having them. Today I'm having those nudges of not being impulsive. I'll literally just stand there and look a little crazy sometimes. Like I'm not real quick on my words now. I really never been like so now. First of all, if I have, depending on the scenario and the time and the space, first off, I'm gonna have a conversation with God. I need to step to the side. I need to talk to Him right now, right here. I need to figure out what to do. I need to vent, and then once I do have that conversation and I calm down, I start to evaluate the situation too now. Like before I didn't evaluate, I always thought I was right. Now I'm like, okay, where I go wrong? All right, sometimes you didn't go, sometimes you ain't go nowhere wrong. Sometimes people just be dead out wrong, you know and if that is the case, if I was wrong, I'll start the when I confront the issue, I'll start the conversation off with where I was wrong, but I was offended by this, or but this, and that, Um, and then just finding a way to forgive them. I can't just forgive by saying I forgive them. I have to literally, I put this person in my mind as a child, and I put this person in my mind as they are a result of what they've been through. That's the only way I can learn how to forgive people. Sometimes I can only forgive them knowing it really ain't got nothing to do with me. It's really based on how they were raised, what they've been through, what they're going through. So I'll learn to forgive them. And sometimes, depending on who you are, I'll just silent. Some people I silently cut off. Some people don't deserve an explanation. If I didn't know you like that and you just crossed my bridge and you getting a silent cut off, you was like my friend for 10 years. We finna talk about it, but I still might cut you. I ain't gonna say just cut you off like deadline you, but I will, pivot. I'm big on pivoting. I don't have to be your buddy, and you have ways like this. So it depends on the person and the priority of the person. Like some people I silently cut off, peacefully cut off silently, and some people I will love from a distance. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to say that's probably me too. I know a couple 10 years ago, mm-mm. It would have been on and cracking. You heard me. You had to feel this wrath. I was God. The Lord. The word says, "Vengeance is mine," says the Lord. Back then, vengeance was mine. It was not the Lord's. And
I
I would
read
go from
that.
zero. Yeah, I would go from 0 to 90. It was so bad that my sister, and I don't know why she would always be in the middle. Like with my ex, like I said, in high school, I was real cool. But when I got married, he loved like to push my buttons. And it was one day, I just went bananas. I think I probably even pulled a knife on him. And my sister picked me up and she put me in the hallway and locked me out of the main door. So and I would go literally, I would black out and then I would come back to me. And she was like, "I'm too young for this." And I'm like, I'm calm now. Like, why did you lock me out of my house? And she's like, "I'm too young for this." So she would tell all her boyfriends I was mean. And I remember one of her boyfriends meeting me. He was like, "Oh, Donna told me you were crazy." So he was like, "Oh, Donna told me you were crazy." And I was picturing this big fat mean lady. That's what he said. But it was because, I was so nice.
Mhm.
And then when you took me there, it's like, oh, now you need to meet the other me.
Yeah.
Because I would call that other me Ray Ray. Like
I,
I'm telling you, I can't. I have a brother who's in jail right now for double murder, and I can't judge him because I can totally see me doing that. Like it had got so bad that I was able to see me killing somebody, and that's literally when I needed Jesus. When I got to the point I was suicidal and homicidal, and I was like, Jesus, I need you. It's in my blood, like or was before I got washed with the blood of Jesus, but it is in my bloodline or was. So I I know I have to be careful with that. And it comes from me being that little girl who was taken advantage of and because I was nice. And so there's a scripture that says God is close to the brokenhearted. And
Mhm.
he saves the contrite at heart, or he saves the broken in spirit. And so I also believe that in that same scenario that there are evil spirits who are also, there near to the brokenhearted saying, I can protect you. And they're
Mhm.
talking louder than the Holy Spirit many times. And so then we adopt them even as kids, like, yeah, I need some protection. And it's really a demon, trying to take over because they can't really operate or have any authority without a body. And so they're trying to get in us as young as possible. And then they grow up with us. And before we know it, we're known to be, like, oh, flip mode and she gonna fight and not
Mhm.
realizing then we take on it as almost like a badge of honor. And then one day we end up in prison for killing somebody. So, today, that's how I would handle that. And when I realized now I need help today, I'm like you. Is it worth it? How long have I known you? Okay, we cool. And I'm still gonna smile at you and wave at you. And some people, I don't like I'm always kind of iffy with this. People who are offended with me, if you're
Mhm.
still offended with me, I don't want to provoke you. So I won't be in your face. I'm not going to try to force you. Now, I did used to do this. It was this one guy, he was dating one of my relatives, and everybody was against him, but I wanted him to know that I wasn't. So I would literally stand there and say, hi, 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 until he said hi back to me. I was so irritated. But he'd be like, hi, like, get out of my face. But I realized, like, I don't want to provoke people. So if you don't want to speak to me, I'm gonna be here until this, when the swelling go down, you can come and we can talk about it, but I'm not gonna force myself on you. But I will, if you welcome the high or I will speak to you from a distance.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's how I gotta handle a lot of situations now, like from a distance, but not just like, oh, you're dead to me. Like
mhm,
nothing, nothing has been worth. And then I don't get as angry as I used to get. Like for me to feel like you're dead to me to somebody, you have to really. It would be anything simple back then, like, oh, you talked about me behind my back, you dead to me, like, but now I'm like, some stuff just bounce off me because I really realize it really ain't got, some of this stuff ain't got nothing to do with me. It don't really affect, it don't get to my heart no more, like it used to. It used to get to my heart. It bounces off now when I realize that people are literally just a result of, in a lot of cases, of what they've been through, how they were raised, how our
absolutely.
life was. And I'm just like, it ain't worth it, taking so much offense to certain things.
Now, I guess I want to conclude with asking you this. Um, Being you today, what would be the one thing that you would want somebody to know when it comes to how to handle somebody you were there for, but they turned on you?
Um, Outside of body, you kind of, I always say to reverse the roles and just to see like how you would want to receive it if you were in their shoes. So ask the question once more. I think I'm getting too twirled in it.
So just advice on somebody who's maybe struggling with, okay, I was there for somebody and they turned on me, and
Mhm.
how to kind of get past it. I guess that's a better way to ask it. What advice would you give them if somebody was kind of stuck there?
Okay. Same thing I just kind of touched on is like giving people grace and learning and knowing that um, the things that they did or they've done is really a result of what they've been through. In a lot of cases, some people like I'm real big on the scripture, forgive them, Lord, for they do not know, because a lot of people are just not aware. They may have not had the love, they may have not had the integrity to being taught to them. So just giving people grace first, not being so impulsive, having a conversation with God before you speak. I promise it'll change the pace of things. Um, and yeah, just giving people grace and knowing that, um, and then believing nothing to be a loss. Everything is a learning experience. Nothing is a loss. Nothing should be really taken as if it's the end of the world. You got to grow from it. So find a way to look at it as a positive and being able to grow from it, versus just taking offense from it. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh, I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Now, that would work if you are a believer in Christ, for
Yeah.
people who are still kind of yet in, kind of doing it their own way.
Yeah.
I would say for us as believers, we have to just be reminded we're not fighting against flesh and blood. And this is a spin off of what you just said.
Hmm.
It's not about us. It really isn't. They have their own struggles, and you just kind of end up
Hmm.
there, and they feel like, well, I'm not getting it from here. So, I'll do this, or I flip out. Like even Shell, she's really mad at Mark. She's really mad at the situation. She can't have her way. And so she's flipping out on Dolores, and it's really not Dolores. It's her, because Dolores is saying things that is challenging her where she is, because she's having an inner temper tantrum. I want my family, and it's not
Dolores,
working out.
she did good. She did
You
good.
said what?
I said Dolores did good though. She did.
Oh,
She
yes. She
she took
did.
she took a deep like she took a deep breath in, and that's sometimes you just
What you
need.
got to do, girl. What you got to do. I remember I had I gave this girl some advice. This one girl, one of my relatives used her up bad. And so I ended up talking to her, and she was crying like, I did this for them and that for them. And they kind of, they dogged me out, and it was pretty bad. So I just told her, I said, look, I said, please, I said, I apologize for my family member doing that. And I thank you for being there for them, but please don't let your good turn you the good don't let your good the good that you did and the evil that she did turn you into something that you're not. And I told her to look at it this way. You were practicing love, and the reason why you're so good at it because you were practicing it. So don't let it change you. Don't become them. And
Mhm.
girl, why I find myself in the same situation. I remember, and God brought that back to me, my remembrance. Remember what you told her. Don't let this. So 2022 was the hardest. I had to remember that. Like because I had gave out so much to these people, and they were just like, they didn't care. They dogged me out, and I was hurt, like even wondering, like I shouldn't have did so much, like I wish I wouldn't have done this, and I wish I wouldn't have did that, because I didn't go to school because I was trying to be there for them. Even prolonged the degree that I did get because I took in a family member,
Mhm.
so I gave up parts of my life, for them. And here I am, so I felt some kind of way, but it's why I'm the way I am.
Hmm.
It's, I'm loving and I don't want to change that. And so I had to be really careful last year to not let my heart go cold because I wanted to. So my advice is just that to not let it change you. To don't be the change, or be mindful, or be purposeful on being who you want to be, or knowing who you want to become. And don't let people and their actions change who you
Hmm.
are or what you want to become.
Staying anchored, absolutely. Yep, staying true to you and your purpose and who God called you to be. Yeah, for sure. Yep, that's good.
Well, that's all I have for today, Jaleesa. Thank you for rocking with me.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Rock family. You know, sometimes certain topics can trigger old emotions. So, if at any point during this head trauma discussion season you feel you need to talk to someone, please do. And for some reason, if you do not have access to a trusted source, feel free to check out some of our recommendations by visiting www.rockwithmenow.com. Once at the homepage, select the Rock Challenges tab and then filter through the list available to see what may possibly suit you. Hope you enjoyed today's show. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you.